So, you've clicked this video because anonymous reporting has intrigued you. Perhaps you're an employer who's considering offering it to your people to speak up about workplace issues. That's great, but it also scares you, right? I get it. It is a scary prospect. Anything that involves change, and especially the unknown, is. The conversation around diversity, inclusion, and preventing these toxic cultures at organisational level is new for many organisations. Maybe when you hear anonymous reporting, the first thought that comes to your mind is, we can't do anything about a disclosure or report if it's anonymous. Well, that's why I've created this video. This isn't a sales pitch from Culture Shift. I just want to talk to you about the power of anonymous reporting in workplaces, answer some frequently asked questions, share some insightful data with you, and give you all the information you need and how and why it can help you prevent bullying, harassment, and other harmful behaviours happening within your workplace. Because these behaviours do happen wherever there are people. I'll also talk to you about all the positives, how it can build trust and encourage organisational speak-up culture, and just be another route for employees to tell you when things go wrong. Because right now, you have a lot of questions, I'm sure. Hopefully you'll leave watching this video feeling a much more well-rounded view, because as leaders, it's hard to know what to do a lot of the time. I'm Gemma, co-founder and CEO of Culture Shift. We exist to create happier, safer, and more supportive environments of work and study for everyone, everywhere. Improving workplace culture can feel like a lonely job, but you're not alone. That's where we come in. We produce videos like this one to support you on your change-making journey. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon to stay updated for when we post new videos. So within today's video, I'm going to cover 1, what the common barriers to reporting are and how anonymous reporting helps remove those. Number 2, actionable things you can do with anonymous data, including examples from organisations that we're partnered with. Number 3, how this reporting route helps build trust and psychological safety within organisations, and how this directly supports creating a speak up culture. So grab a notepad and pen and let's dive into it. It's no secret that I'm a big advocate for anonymous reporting. It's why we founded Culture Shift, to remove the barriers for people speaking up about workplace misconduct, along with giving organisations the tools and data to prevent harmful incidents from happening in the first place. But that aside, there are multiple reasons and evidence that backs up why this works, with the bottom line being that the barriers it removes for people speaking up about the issues. Barriers include fear of retaliation. Employees may worry that if they report misconduct, they could face retaliation from their colleagues or superiors, such as being demoted, fired, or ostracised. Lack of trust. Some employees may not trust the company's reporting system or fear that their report won't be taken seriously or acted upon appropriately. Normalisation of misconduct. In some workplace cultures, certain forms of misconduct may be normalised or even accepted, making it more difficult for employees to recognise and report them. The bystander effect. If multiple employees witness misconduct, they may each assume that someone else will report it, leading to no one reporting it. Unconscious bias. In some cases, employees may not report misconduct because of their unconscious biases, such as assuming that certain behaviours are harmless or that certain individuals are less likely to engage in misconduct. Lack of process. What if the only process to report or disclose these issues is whistleblowing? Most people don't want it to go that far. They want the behaviour to stop and prevent it from happening to anyone else. Fear of repercussions. For many, they get labelled a troublemaker and can even affect career progression. We all saw a very real and public example of this with the Harvey Weinstein abuse, but this isn't an unusual case. Being called oversensitive, with covert harmful behaviours, microaggressions, and everyday bullying, racism, and discrimination that perhaps are less visible, a common response when telling someone, especially if they don't have the same experience, is being told that they're overreacting or oversensitive. Beyond these barriers, having an anonymous reporting platform in place roots out problems before they can get out of hand. Too often, we have read about problematic behaviour in the media where employers are sued and reputations are damaged. No company wants that to happen. So this preventative measure is a much better investment and worth far more than the cost of losing a discrimination case or profits. So to go back to what I said at the start and your fears about not being able to do anything if someone makes an anonymous report, well, this simply isn't the case. But you need some proof and real examples about what you can do, right? Are there boundaries and risks? Yes, like with most things, but it works, and I want to show you how it can work for you. Some real examples of actions our partners have taken with anonymous data include, firstly, one organisation had a number of anonymous reports within a 2-week period saying there was a man driving around the streets regularly trying to get women in his car as employees were leaving at 6 p.m. What did they do with those reports? Well, they sent them to the police. That isn't something that line managers across the various departments individually would know how to address. Another example is that 5 anonymous reports came from one department about a certain type of behaviour that is repeatedly happening. Someone went there, provided training, reminded that department of the policy and expected behaviours. There didn't even need to be information given that those reports were even made in the first place. Finally, again in another organisation, there was an overarching issue that kept getting flagged anonymously. And the organisation then had the knowledge that, okay, we maybe need to send a company-wide message out and reiterated what behaviour they want and expect. They then readdressed all processes and routes of how that big behavioural issue was happening. They reviewed their onboarding procedure because they realised that this was happening from a gap in onboarding expectations. Without that anonymous route, your HR team, EDI, or just the senior leadership team wouldn't know that they needed to reiterate that and wouldn't have the ability to track the behaviour back to certain gaps in their everyday processes. Knowledge is power, and you can't manage what you can't measure. Also, a lot of what I said in anonymous reports shows emerging issues. Little things that start bubbling beneath the surface, issues that do not require disciplinaries or investigation, but a workplace still needs to know about in order to protect the people working there. This is where anonymous routes give you the knowledge and opportunity to know these things and do something before they become a bigger issue. Prevention is definitely better than cure. From our data and research, along with user experiences, we know that not everyone wants something to be done when an incident happens, or for the perpetrator to even be disciplined. A lot of people just want you to know that they've experienced something. In some organisations, especially in healthcare, microaggressions and incivilities are their biggest concern and biggest problem affecting their culture today. But these covert behaviours are extremely difficult to measure or prevent. Giving people the route to tell you of an incident, no matter how big or small, lets you get a broader understanding of what is happening. I now want to share some case study data of a partner of ours. They've been a partner for the last 3 years and they have around 13,000 people in their workforce. In the case of this organisation, in their first year of using our system, 65.4% of the reports were anonymous, meaning that if they hadn't offered an anonymous reporting tool for their people, they would not have known about that information and they would be missing out on 65% of that information. To put that into perspective, imagine having 65% less money in your bank account, 65% less furniture in your house, 65% less players in a football team. How can you as leaders be effective as you need to be without having all the knowledge you need to make the best, most effective and informed decisions? The answer is it's really difficult, nearly impossible. The more we know, the better leaders we can be, right? By not giving the option for anonymous reporting, you're only seeing a certain percentage of the problem. And that's the iceberg analogy, right? The kinds of incidents we're talking about, bullying, harassment, racism, discrimination, are underreported by nature in society. It's the same in workplaces. The people physically speaking up are only the tip of the iceberg. Everyone else under the water is either suffering in silence or leaving your organisation. And this isn't just anecdotal. Our research has shown that 42% of people report leaving a job because of bullying and harassment. And with the cost of replacing an employee around £31,000 and can be more depending on the sector and position in the company and so on, it really pays to tackle the issue head on to avoid paying out. But putting the cost aside, as humans, we should just want to prevent these issues regardless of the business case. It's just good for the world. Something leaders don't consider is most people just want the behaviour to stop and don't want it to happen to someone else. This brings me on to the importance of defining what a speak-up culture is in your organisation. Another thing you may be thinking is, well, isn't anonymous reporting the opposite of creating a speak-up culture? This view is hugely problematic. If you only expect people to physically tell you when something is wrong, you're effectively closing your eyes and ears to problems happening to your employees. You simply cannot see the entire picture, and this isn't being inclusive to everyone. There are varying factors to why someone can't physically speak up, and as mentioned previously in this video, as people leaders, it's your job as an inclusive organisation to recognise that and try and remove those barriers. You cannot take a one-size-fits-all approach and expect it to work for everyone. That's the opposite of inclusion. Having an anonymous review in place clearly indicates to your employees, I get it, this kind of thing is hard to talk about, and we still care enough to listen to what you've experienced, even if you can't say who you are. I've talked about the barriers already, but when creating a speak-up culture, we have to actively work against those barriers in order for people to feel psychologically safe to speak up. So that's it, our guide to all things anonymous reporting. I hope that it's given you some food for thought. For more advice on improving your workplace culture and more, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos. A question I want to leave you with to end this video. What are you offering to give your people, your teams, your employees a safe, non-judgmental, inclusive, free from bias place to report and disclose incidents that they've experienced at your place of work?